Hey there folks, the number one Mach-Hommy fan from the Infinite Jukebox here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Mach-Hommy record, Rich Ass Haitian. Mach-Hommy, one of the most highly praised and enigmatic figures within the hip-hop underground in the modern day, is always someone who can be trusted to put out a really high-quality project. In fact, I think it's actually pretty arguable the guy has never put out anything less than really strong, and the majority of his material kind of goes in the more generally really great direction. And whether you love him for his relentless work ethic or the unique sound that he has carved out for himself via records like 2016's HBO and 2021's Pray for Haiti, it feels kind of incorrect to call him anything less than one of the most consistently interesting and consistently boundary-pushing rappers active today. His latest studio album, Rich Ass Haitian, a record put out for Haitian Flag Day, doesn't necessarily completely reinvent what Mach-Hommy is all about stylistically, but at the same time, it is an example of some of his best qualities as an artist, albeit a couple of his weaker qualities too, though, to be honest, the weaker moments here don't really have much to do with him, but let me explain. Look, Mach-Hommy himself is strong as ever here, and if you aren't aware, that is, very, because he still has the sort of subtle assassin degree of intensity in his lyrics and his performances, kind of causing him to be this low-key and I would even argue oftentimes underestimated killer within the rap underground today, and at the same time his lyric game is equally strong here. Obviously, I can't necessarily say that about 100% of this record, as he is intentionally opaque about the lyrical content of this album, not allowing it to be shared anywhere within online spaces, so I won't comment about the entirety of the record exactly, but I can confidently say that the majority of the record is very obviously comprehensible and not really overshadowed by production or anything like that, because there's great production work here, and the songwriting here is as strong as it's ever been for Mach-Hommy, someone who's always been charged with a degree of aggression no matter what, whether he's talking about something deeply political or something more casual such as the current industry of rap at large. And it certainly helps that he's backed up by some great producers too, with the pretty omnipresent Gold taking up the majority of this record's production work at various points, and ultimately continuing to prove himself as one of the most essential underground producers in the entirety of the East Coast of the United States at the moment. But even some of the other one or two-time producers that do kind of occasionally appear on this record, they do excellent work as well, most notably Conductor Williams, one of my favorite producers active in the entire music industry right now, killing it on a couple of tracks here. And with such great production and Mach-Hommy just being his normal excellent self, it really does feel like this record, at least in concept, has the makings of a masterpiece of sorts, or at the very least a genuinely really great album, which is why I think it's kind of a shame to say that I don't necessarily think most of the features on this record manage to stack up, or at least do as strongly in the context of the album compared to Mach-Hommy. Look, some people lay down some predictably great verses here. I'm not going to go into this saying, oh man, Black Thought and Rock Marciano, yeah, those verses were kind of whack. Like, no, obviously they are phenomenal here, just as they are on most other things they're involved with. But with that being said, I do think that there are some legitimately weak verses here from people like Your Old Droog and the god Fahim that aren't necessarily awful, but feel very middling compared to some of the better features on this record, as well as some of the best verses coming from Mach-Hommy himself, ultimately resulting in a sort of discrepancy at various points in this record between the features and the better performers here, which, I mean, some of which are features, but you get what I mean. And that's not to say that some of the weaker features here that I mentioned aren't necessarily credible performers or anything like that. They do have strong projects on their own. It's just that I feel certain artists involved don't necessarily bring their best work to the table here, and honestly, that's just kind of a shame. Even still, I don't necessarily think a few weak features take a huge amount of away from the general sense of consistency and quality that this record has going for it, and at the end of the day, I really do think that Rich Ass Haitian is a pretty excellent album overall, albeit not my favorite to come from Mach-Hommy to date, but with him doing what he does best and some strong production to boot, I kind of feel like all there's really left to ask is, why did Droog say that about the dog on Empty Spaces? What made him go with that? I'm going to give this record 3.5 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that is the end of this quick album review. Thank you for watching the Infinite Jukebox, and I'll see you in the next one.